channel. I don't do these videos often anymore, the live streams, because I'm just uh, so busy with full-time cricket coaching, whether it's been school or whether coaching for Essex. It's pretty busy. I'm not complaining, just explaining. So I really don't get a chance to get here and do live shows. But today I said, you know what? Let me take a little time out. There's so much boxing going on at the moment. Um, and let me see what I can do on this live stream. So here we go. Let's talk boxing. Let's talk heavyweight boxing. And rather than do all these short clips that I've been doing, go through all the fights that I see as interesting or fights that caught my attention, upcoming fights with fighters that I have a bit of knowledge about. And let's go from there. Let's start first. David Adelaide, or Adelaide, whatever, David Adelaide, right? My tongue's gone today. Versus Philip Hergovich. So, here's why I think this fight has happened. Here's why I think David Adelaide is not fighting TKV in the rematch. Two reasons. Reason number one, that fight TKV versus David Adelaide, and in my opinion, or Big D, Big D was meant to knock out TVK or TUV, whatever. He's meant to knock him out. He's meant to knock him out. That was meant to be a run through, right? I'm not Frank Warren, but if I'm looking at that fight and I'm seeing Big D getting outboxed, I'm thinking if he's getting outboxed by this guy, then the hope for him to move up the heavyweight division isn't great. And well, if he's going to get beat now, then at least let him get beat by somebody who is world rated and has beaten Joe Joyce and is a respected heavyweight that people can really sort of like kind of get into, and that's Philip Hergovich. And it also gives Hergovich the opportunity to get a really good knockout win against a guy who's going to talk a lot. Big D's going to talk a lot. He'll sell the fight, but I think it's sink or swim for Big D. If Big D wins, obviously that puts him in the big heavyweight bonanza with all the other fighters. So, but if Hergovich wins, of course, it's just a stay busy fight for me, in my opinion. I can see why Adam Booth would take the Hergovich fight, because in his mind, he's got a guy that's faster on his feet, punches hard, and could probably get in and out of Hergovich's punches, get in, do damage, and get out. I think that's what they're going to be teaching or getting Big D to do. Get in, get mid to close range with Hergovich. Don't allow Hergovich to box. Because if he allows Hergovich to use the long levers and use the jab and box, he'll outbox David. He'll outbox Big D. And eventually catch him in something bigger and knock him out. So I think it's going to be that sort of like herky-jerky, like with how David Hay sort of, that's the kind of fight that's in my mind, is how David Hay thought value of course, Hergovich is a far better boxer and he's far more smooth and he's less cumbersome. But Hergovich has lazy periods. Hergovich is a guy that can fall asleep in fights. Hergovich can be a slow starter. And I think they're probably thinking, well, you know what, if David can come out the traps fast, hit Hergovich with everything he's got early, particularly that left hook, if he can get that left hook smash off, right, jump in and land big shots and try and get Hergovich out of there. Much like how Daniel Dubois jumped on Hergovich. But I don't think David Adelaide is going to try and jump on Hergovich in the same way. I think he's going to try and box him in the sense that, like, feints, allow Hergovich to come forward and then jump in, throw a shot, and then jump out or jump to the sides. Kind of like how David Hay used to fight. I think he's going to get David Adelaide a fight that way. That's the only way I see David Adelaide win his fight, because he's not box. He can't box. He cannot box. If the TKV fight didn't show you that, if the Sokolovsky fight didn't show you that, if the Fabio Wardley fight, he's a brawler. Big D's a brawler. He can tell you he can box all he wants. He's a brawler. He's a puncher, brawler. That's what he is. He's not a boxer. You know, TKV had the jab, and for the most part had the jab in David's face and giving him all sorts of problems. So I don't see him as he's a pure puncher, a guy that, who give him any space, any room to get leverage and land shots, he's going to hurt you. That's what he is, pure puncher. Puncher, fighter, yeah. Fighter, brawler, yeah. Right? Don't get it twisted. There's some guys who can box but they can't fight. There's some guys that can box and they can use the jab and look sweet and off the back foot and off the front foot, they're fine. But when you put pressure on them, which has to engage them to fight, they can't fight. None of them guys are like Vladimir Klitschko is a perfect example. Vladimir Klitschko can box, he can't fight. Vlad can keep you at the end of a jab. He can throw a big right hand in. He'll throw up. Vlad can throw shots and the accountability. When you get up close with Vlad and get inside his jab, and you try and get him and start roughing him up, Ross Pruitt showed that. Lamont Brewster showed you that. Even the AJ fight, when AJ decided to fight with him, and you see the big uppercut on the inside that AJ hit him with, because he can't protect himself against a fighter unless he's at long range. But when he's in the kitchen, he gets hot. He don't know what to do. So I suspect that's what they're going to try and do with David Adelaide. Try and get him jumping in and out, side to side, land the big shots, try and stun Herkovich or something, and then jump on top of him. That's what I think they're going to do. But I think the reason why he's in this position is because I don't know if behind the scenes he's taking boxing seriously. I don't know if behind the scenes he's had a falling out. I don't know if behind the scenes he's not liked. I don't know. But what I do know is now, as a result of the TKV fight, he's now fighting, and he looked terrible in the TKV fight. Because of that, and he come off a knockout loss to Wardley, you're getting a Herkovich fight. So either you don't train properly and you don't dedicate to the sport, you get knocked out, or the fear of God is putting you, and you put on a career best win. But your mouth is very loud, but you're not backing up what you're saying. So take this. I've seen this so many times happen in boxing. So next one, Joseph Parker versus Derek Chisora. In my opinion, I don't know who Joseph Parker has peed off, or whether he knocked out Bacoli, he wasn't going to knock out Bacoli, whether he's a threat. He's a legitimate threat to the heavyweight division. I believe he's one of the guys that could beat Alexander Usyk, Joseph Parker. Around the same size. He's got good hands, good footwork, good boxing ability, can fight as well himself. Joseph Parker has a good chin, good punching power. I think he gives Usyk a real tough fight. I think he even beats Usyk. Yeah, Joseph Parker, I've said it. And I just think that he's just not the guy they want at the moment. So if he can get himself into another ding-dong fight with Chisora, that's good. So not more years off the clock of Joseph Parker. Getting him in fights that will show much more wear and tear, so that he doesn't, so when he gets his chance to fight for the title, he's completely worn down and beaten up. And he's not beaten up physically, like in terms of like he's gonna have a lot. He'll be very shock worn by the time he gets to fight for a world title again. That's what I think. Rather it being either out of inactivity or being in too many wars. That's what I think they're planning to do with Joseph Parker. For Derek Chisora, well, wasn't Derek Chisora went to fight for the world title? I think wasn't he at one point to fight Dubois? They were trying to do that. And then I'm hearing now that Chisora turned down the Itama fight. So I don't care if I've seen a third fight between Joseph Parker and Derek Chisora. I don't care about Joseph Parker and Derek Chisora. I don't want to see it. I'm not interested. I don't care. Let's move on, which leads me to Moses Itama versus Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte was meant to fight Lawrence Okolie. No, he was meant to fight Vlad Tsarenko. Last minute pulled out. Frank Warren, I said before to Vlad Tsarenko, I said, listen, Vlad, when you sign with Frank Warren, one of two things. Is Frank Warren going to guide your career in terms of like picking you the right fights, or is he going to throw you in with a big deep, throw you in deep? And obviously, as I suspected, threw him in deep, was going to throw him in against Dillian Whyte. When I say throw him in deep, which is, he hasn't fought anybody around the levels of Dillian Whyte in terms of what Dillian Whyte's achievement, who's boxed and stuff like that. So, yeah, to get thrown in against Dillian White. Say, well, again, sink or swim. This is the opportunity for you to sink or swim. That would be the reason why these fights, would be brought about for Vlad Serenko. That's why the Vlad Serenko fight was going to happen with Dillian White. But Dillian White, excuse me a second. Sorry about that. Yeah. So Vlad Serenko now is fighting another guy which I spoke about earlier. Check the shorts for that. Good luck for him as he fights on the undercard of Usyk versus Dubois, as with all the guys I'm speaking so far, apart from Derek Chisora and Joseph Parker. So Dillian White comes in against Moses Atalma. Didn't look great in his last fight. And people think he's past his best. I think Dillian White's best days, if I'm honest with you, is when he fought under Mark Tibbs. I think Mark Tibbs got into #1 in the world with a very interesting style, old wide sort of boxing style he had. Dillian White looked good doing so. I think kind of lost his way. He's now with Buddy McGirt. Buddy McGirt is a good trainer, but he's in against Moses Atalma now. Moses Atalma, as far as I'm concerned, is untested. His chin's not been tested. He hasn't been tested against any sort of caliber fighter. So he really is media. He's a media sensation. He's hype that's built up. I mean, they talk about Moses Atalma, but it's two guys he didn't knock out. It's two guys. I think he's had 12 fights and about 10 guys he's knocked out. So he hasn't knocked everybody out. So why everyone thinks he's going to steamroll Dillian White, I don't know. And he's fought nowhere near the level of a Dillian White. So yes, Moses Atalma is fighting Dillian White coming towards the end of his career. I agreed. But the guys who've beaten Dillian White, Povetkin, Joshua, and Fury have all been world level fighters, proven world level fighters. Now goes up against Dillian White, against Moses Atalma. Dillian White and Moses Atalma, is he those guys? Is he getting Dillian White at the end of his career, or is this a miscalculation? As I said before, Moses Atalma, we know he can throw it, but can he take it? We don't know what Moses is like if he's put under pressure. Dillian White certainly won't be coming in the way that Mike Balogun came in. He certainly won't fight like the way Vac came in, and he certainly won't fight the way that Dempsey McKean fought. So we can wipe those guys out. Dillian White's a crafty operator. He punches good with a left hook, works the body well. Problems with Dillian White, sometimes he throws punches, he goes off balance. He's loading up. Bit slow and ponderous on his feet. Vulnerable to the uppercut, we know. That is his, all the guys he's fought. Joshua, Povetkin, and Fury all throw the uppercut very well. It's just how Atalma fights his fight. I will reserve judgment on Moses Atalma until he does the following. A, come through a tough fight, getting hit on the chin and showing he can take it as much as he can give it. We've seen guys in the past who've been built up to be monsters, but then when it came down to it, should I start reeling off the list of fighters who were going to be in the next Mike Tyson? Do you remember AJ Carter? Do you remember AJ Carter? It's a good friend of mine, AJ Carter. AJ Carter was built up by Derek Williams, who said AJ Carter was the next Mike Tyson. He looked a bit like Mike Tyson, and he was knocking dudes out until he got hit on the chin. Okay, David Price, Olympian, big puncher, tall. Remember, Bellew said he was the heir to the Klitschko throne. Do you remember Robert Helenius? He was meant to be the next great thing in the heavyweight division. We could go on and on with guys who have been touted as the next big thing in the heavyweight boxing, right? Moses Atalma yet has yet to be hit on the chin. The truth can only be when we've examined it, right? At the moment, it is what they say in sparring. If you listen to what he did sparring, Adrian Broner did this and that to Errol Spence, but he never did anything outside of that when you talk about Adrian Broner's career. So to me, there's a lot of dudes that have media backing. Of course, it's with Frank Warren. No disrespect to Frank, but he's got to build this guy up. Why is he pushing Moses Talma so fast? Well, I'll tell you why. Why did he push Danny Dubois so fast? He pushed Danny Dubois into that fight with Joe Joyce. He didn't need to do that. But he knows that if he pushes him and he loses to a name, he can bring him back again. If he wins, he gets a good rating. Yeah? In this era of heavyweight boxing, you've got the heavyweight bonanza now. Fighters are going to make a lot more money now because of Turki Al-Sheikh. And Frank can't use the same strategies that he used before, where you could get a guy with 30 fights and fought nobody, or build fighters up like he built like Ricky Hatton, or he built Joe Kawasaki, if Kawasaki could fight, by the way, or built up Prince Nazim Hamed, where you can just spoon feed them opponents. It's not going to be allowed. It's not going to be tolerated no more, because Turki Al-Sheikh will not tolerate it. He's going to want to see people who could fight. So why not have a guy who shows he can fight? So that's why I think this Dillian Whyte match has been made. Turki Al-Sheikh is following the Matchroom model, higher paid fights but riskier. Absolutely, it's a model that he doesn't care. But at the end of the day, he'll destroy a lot of promotional companies with their padded record fighters, right? That's what's going to happen. Watch my preview as to what's going to happen in the boxing world. Remember, Turki Al-Sheikh will want the World Cup of boxing. So for him to have the World Cup of boxing, he's got to loosen some of these other fighters and sort of these promotional companies. He's got to loosen them up. So therefore, it's like promoters can have fighters, but he remains the big dog. So this is a way. You called this many years ago. Blows my mind. Yeah, I told you. It's coming. But, he's going to be the top dog. He's going to end up being like an emperor. Turki Al-Sheikh, we don't look at it now, but he's going to like an emperor. We're going back into the old days, the Roman Empire. When gladiators came out to fight in big arenas. The only thing that's not happening at the moment is that we're not calling Turki Al-Sheikh Emperor Al-Sheikh, because that is it's just where it's heading to. That's where it's heading to. Well, there's no WBC, WBA, WBA, IBF, IBL. It's just undisputed. See that belt? See that undisputed belt? The one I hope doesn't happen is the WWE style boxing that's coming as well. Don't be surprised. A lot more behind. Listen, you've already seen the WWE. I don't want to break your bubble, but I've already seen WWE. I am Turkish. Turki Al-Sheikh. Yeah, it's good to see. Turki Al-Sheikh is from Saudi Arabia. It's not Turkish. Yeah, but hold on a second. I'm going to give you a situation that was WWE. And here it comes, ST. Do you remember? Have you ever seen SmackDown versus Raw, or SmackDown Shut Your Mouth? It was on PS2, right? And you could go behind the scenes and you could beat people up with chairs and tables. Yeah, you're a big WWE fan. Well, this was WWF time. WWF time, yeah? SmackDown, know your role, right? You remember when Eubank came into the arena? His dad, he had the limousine, and then Eubank opened the car door and Eubank came out, right? Their father and son came out together. That is a script. Father and son not getting on together, father and son coming together, that was something out of a WWE script. Adam Smith himself unconsciously said, what will be the script for the next fight? That is a script, my friend. Boxing is scripted. It's script. They've been scripting boxing for so long. Let me give you another script. We've got a script now for Alexander, which leads me to Alexander Usyk versus Danny Dubois. Danny Dubois hit Alexander Usyk not once, but twice with low blows. The first time he was called for it. The second time he hit Usyk with a low blow, it was borderline, right? So we have the script, and the script is Dubois will win this time because he's better. Dubois win this time because he's more improved. Dubois win because it wasn't a low blow. It was actually Dubois winning the fight. Let me tell you something. Alexander Usyk, for the most part, was at boxing Dubois, but they're not going to focus on that, and they're not going to tell you that, because if they tell you that, they don't sell the fight the same way. They've got to get the British people on board with Dubois. They need to do it so they can sell out Wembley. So the script right now is Dubois can win this fight if he beats to beat Usyk, if he can land the body shots again, because he's improved under John Charles. And yeah, he has improved under John Charles mentally, because he was a boy, he's matured and become a man, and he's got mentorship which he didn't have with all those other trainers. And I said Don Charles will give him mentorship and instill, but Dubois has also taken a lot of Don Charlesisms, and the problem with that is because you can become too emotional. He Dubois is like a sponge for the good and the bad, and he has no filter for one or the other. So he takes in everything that's been said to him. Oh, this is going to be a bloodbath. Yeah, he said it's a bloodbath. He's not really thinking about what he's talking about, because if you look at the first fight, who was bloody in the first fight? He was bloody in the first fight, and he's talking about this fight's going to be a bloodbath. You know, Dubois needs to be very careful in this fight, because he's following the script of other people, Don Charles, his father, and people in the team. But he was getting outboxed. He was getting hit with that straight left hand. He got knocked out by a jab. They're not telling you that stuff in the build-up. They're not telling you that the left hand, he didn't move his head off the block, and that he was a sitting target for Alexander Usyk's left hand. They're not telling you that. They're not telling you that Usyk dropped Dubois in the fight. They're not telling you that Usyk stiffened Dubois' leg with a jab. It's still his chin. Don Charles can't improve Dubois' chin. And Don Charles can't really change the way Dubois responds to getting hit like that. Why won't they tell you that? Because they're selling the fight. They're selling the agenda. They're selling the fight. That's media. Remember this. Those who control the media control the minds. They control the agenda. Of course they try to overrate Dubois. Of course they're trying to overrate him. The fight's at Wembley. So what are they going to do? Undersell Dubois? They've got to oversell him. Just like they've got to oversell Johnny Fisher. Oh, that was controversial, the first fight. Johnny Fisher's going to knock out Dave Allen. How? At what point in the fight did Dave Allen's legs wobble? Wasn't Johnny Fisher the one that got dropped? Wasn't Johnny Fisher the one that got hurt? Wasn't Johnny Fisher on the verge of being knocked out? Wasn't he on the verge of being El Sparkoed? Right, so we get the rematch. And what do we get? Johnny Fisher gets El Sparkoed. So you tell me. You see, it's the way the media works. That's the way the media works. Listen, Dubois may have his moments in the fight, but listen, for Dubois to win this fight, he has to have Usyk on the back foot. If Usyk comes on the front foot, puts his foot down, and takes it to Dubois, there's nothing Dubois can do about it. Nothing, nothing. He tries to load the right hand, the left hand comes straight for the middle. I'm telling you. Go back and look at the fight. Look at the first half of the fight with Dubois and Usyk, yeah? And watch what happens when Usyk gets up after being knocked down. He stands his ground and he starts to walk Dubois back. Dubois can only fight one way, which is coming forward. Dubois cannot fight going backwards. Once Dubois starts going backwards and Usyk starts leveraging that left hand down the middle, it's all that she wrote. It's over. For Dubois to throw that right hand to the body, what he's got to do and get leverage, he's got to come forward. Thoughts on Alex Krasnik splitting with Usyk, just announced on Ring today. Yeah, I heard that. I don't know. Uncle Bashir was saying there was things that he was struggling with behind the scenes. I don't know. I don't know why that would be. I don't know why it would be. Could this be Usyk's last fight? I don't know. Wilder comeback. Listen, I'll tell you before and I'll tell you again. People love Deontay Wilder because Deontay Wilder brings knockouts and fireworks, and Malik Scott. I told you before about Malik Scott. At first, I thought it was a good relationship between Malik Scott and Deontay Wilder, but I think Malik Scott has ruined Deontay Wilder. I think he really has. I thought that Malik Scott would have been better for Deontay Wilder, but I think he's enabled Deontay Wilder to go down a road and a pathway that has ultimately destroyed him, just like AJ in that relationship he has with Angel Fernandez. and then went on to Robert Garcia. He should have been with someone like Derek James when he left Robert McCracken. Defense was AJ's problem, not attack. So for me, Deontay Wilder knocking a guy out who nobody cares about doesn't matter. People want to say the words Wilder is back. Let's set Wilder up for the Joshua fight because that's the fight they want to make, and now that fight will be made because Turkey Al Sheikh has the money to make it. When AJ was talking about 50 million, if you had said that around, if Turkey Al Sheikh had been around time, when AJ was sitting down there in that room going, yeah, give me 50 million, I'll fight Wilder. Well, Turkey Al Sheikh would have turned up on the same day and given him the 50 million, and that fight would have been made. But the clowns in Eddie Hearn and Barry Hearn, they're the reasons why Wilder and AJ never fought. Barry himself said it that he didn't want AJ anywhere near Deontay Wilder till 2025 or 2026. That means never. So there's that right there. Um, they knew that AJ didn't like getting hit on the chin. And look, that goes way, way back to when I said AJ fought, before he fought Ruiz the first time. AJ was seeing a sports psychologist all the way back then about because Joey DeWaker chinned him in sparring when she had to sell a non-disclosure form, right? So he chinned him in sparring, eh, and it got concussion. I think that's why going into the Ruiz fight, he may have still been concussed. And the rumor was that AJ's father wasn't too happy about it. He shouldn't have been fighting. It's a concussion. So I don't know. Um, AJ needs to sit down. AJ needs to retire. Wilder needs to retire. Fury should stay where he is as well. Them three just need to retire. Just leave boxing, and Usyk needs to go as well. They all four need to go. Since Wilder started smoking those drugs and cheated on his wife, he has gone downhill karma. Um, no, since he joined with Malik Scott, it started going downhill. And since he left Mark Breland, it was the Mark Breland thing there, yeah? Mark Breland. I think Mark Breland was good for Deontay Wilder, but I think he should have gone to Derek James again. I think Derek James would have done some good things with Deontay, but there you go. There you go. So Wilder's come back. Don't care so much for Wilder, Joshua, Fury, and Usyk. All four of them need to retire, and Joe Joyce as well. He can get packing as well, which leads me on to Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, the former unified heavyweight champion of the world. Seems to spend a lot of time in Africa at the moment, spending time in Africa, in Nigeria and in Ghana. If it were me and I was thinking about Anthony Joshua, is he doing that to gather support and gather um, a fan base for potentially having a fight in Africa in the future? Is he potentially going to retire having a fight in Africa? Because if he was to do that, he'd be doing the right things at the moment, being out in Africa at the moment. It is very interesting though. When Anthony Joshua was unified heavyweight champion of the world, he wasn't. You didn't see much of time of him in Africa. I didn't see him in Africa at all. And if you look at Anthony Joshua during the height of his boxing career, he was not surrounded by a lot of Africans. This is just putting it out there. He was not around a lot of Africans. He wasn't even around a lot of boxing people. And that was the problem. He had a lot of people out there who had a lot of money but didn't know anything about boxing. It's where a lot of his decision making cost him his career. So now they talk about AJ may have 2 or 3 fights. I asked the question before, I'll ask the question again. Is AJ in a slave contract? If he's in a slave contract, he will be told he will fight he will be told when he will fight. Not he will decide when he will fight. He will be told when he will fight. Right? So I don't know if all this stuff AJ's doing at the moment is to run down the clock on his contract. I don't know how long he's got left in his contract. I don't know if he's trying to run down the years on the contract by spending lots of time out saying he's got an injury, because that would be a way to run down a contract. I certainly remember the time where Andre Wall was out of boxing for a while and he had to run down the time of his contract before he could come back and box again. Some legal implications there. I wonder if that may be the case there with Anthony Joshua. Yes, I think he may have an injury, but I am questioning the whole lifetime contract that AJ signed with Matchroom. I'm always looking at that. I'm always concerned about the details of that and whether AJ's a slave in a slave contract, which means he will do what he's told. Yeah, so That's a unique situation. A slave contract is you'll do as you're told. We own you. We own your rights. We own your face. We own your body. We own everything that has got anything to do with Anthony Joshua. We tell you when to fight, which leads you back to something that Barry Hearn said years ago. He said when Dillian White was laughing back in the day, um, we we controlled you fighters, but now we have to call you Mr. White. Where Dillian White was laughing, he was laughing because I think Dillian White was an independent. Just a thought, but it makes you think about AJ and that contract again. So I think AJ's in a world of himself. I don't know, I don't know about him. So let's go on. AJ versus Dave Allen. Dave Allen said years ago he sparred with AJ. There's conversation about AJ versus Anderson. Um, so why is not AJ versus Fury? Should that not be the fight? That should be the fight. AJ and Fury. Let them two fight, and whatever happens with that happens. I don't really care for the fight. I don't care if they fight or they don't fight. I don't care if AJ and Wilder fight. I don't care if Fury and Joshua fight. I don't care. I don't care because they've all been beaten by the only fight I might want to see for interest is Usyk versus Wilder, but Wilder's already been beaten 3 times by Fury. A fight I would like to see is Usyk versus Caballero or Usyk versus um, Joseph Parker. Those are 2 fights I'd like to see. Let's talk Lawrence Okolie versus Kevin Lorena. I think it's an interesting fight. I think I would like to see what happens if Kevin Lorena lands on Lawrence Okolie's chin. Lawrence Okolie reminds me, and still reminds me of Henry Akinwande. If you ever saw a Henry Akinwande fight, he used to throw a combination and tie and hold you up. That was Henry Akinwande. He was scared of getting hit back himself. He was scared of getting hit back of punches himself. Hold on a second. Let me do this here. Do this a second. That. Let's do that there. Thank you. This is not the space for that. Thank you very much. Um, yeah. So Akinwande and Alonso Corey are very similar in the way they fight. Very, very similar in the way they fight. And therefore, um, Kevin Lorena will bring that fight to Lawrence Okolie. Okolie doesn't like getting hit. Lorena has the power to cause Lawrence Okolie some serious problems in his fight. Lawrence Okolie seems to have some power in the right hand. I'd like to know what weight Lawrence Okolie comes in with this fight. He's going to have to be careful with his weight. He doesn't come in super heavy, so he's slow. But he needs to be heavy enough to be effective in the fight. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good fight. Definitely think it's going to be a good fight. Because it's going to be Kevin Lorena, I'll make it a good fight. He may even stop Lawrence Okolie if he's not careful. If Lawrence Okolie is not careful, because Kevin Lorena is very underrated. He dropped Dubois twice. He hurt Hooney, which obviously Hooney went on to get knocked out by Wardley. So yeah, there's some interesting things there in that. A good fight. I thought David Allen was fighting TKV for the British heavyweight title. I thought that was the fight for the vacant British heavyweight title. I thought that was the fight. And if that's so, it's a damn good fight. I think Dave Allen's the favourite. Dave Allen should beat TKV, and that would give Dave Allen the opportunity to become British champion. All this talk about Dave Allen fighting Deontay Wilder is that I don't want to hear Dave Allen versus. If Dave Allen is boxing Anthony Joshua, if Joshua's fighting Dave Allen, there's no disrespect to Dave. I love Dave. Like, one has just fought a mega fight against Daniel Dubois at Wembley. The other has just come off winning, fighting Johnny Fisher. Let that sink in for a minute. Joshua has no business fighting him. He has no business fighting Jared Anderson. He has no business fighting Manuel Sharp. Joshua should be fighting Fury or Wilder. Who else? Bacoli. Yeah. Anthony should fight Bacoli. Yeah, I don't think that fight's gonna happen. I don't think that's gonna. No, I don't see that happening. I don't. That's paper talk. That's not gonna happen. Alan, for what reason? What's the purpose? What, does the winner go on and fight for a world title? Or does the winner go on and win a British title? No, Joseph Parker's too dangerous. That's why Joseph Parker's fighting Chisora, just trying to keep Joseph Parker tied up, doing nonsense, just make him running around in circles. Keep busy fights, like when they used to have Chisora fight Dillian White. They keep busy fights, going nowhere fights. Joseph Parker needs to put his foot down and say, "This is bullshit. I'm not standing for this." You know, why is he fighting Chisora for? Chisora's like fighting his 50th fight. What's he fighting Derek Chisora for? It's a pointless fight. Pointless fight. And if boxing fans accept that rubbish, then what are we doing? So Joseph Parker beats Chisora for a third fight. So where does that lead us? Does that take Joseph Parker any closer? AJ versus Chisora. That won't happen. They're good mates. It won't happen. Again, where's that leading you to? In the twilight of Joshua's career, if Joshua were to get walk onto one by Chisora, where does that leave Joshua's career? In absolute tatters. No. Yeah, I think Joshua versus Fury is the fight for me. Or he needs to retire. That's it. What's he? Or fight Martin Bacoli. That's a good fight. I'd like to see a few more mega fights. Some in Africa would be sick. Joshua tends to spend some time in Africa. Why not host a few fights? That's what I'm saying to you. That's why I said this early on. The reason why Joshua's out in Africa at the moment, it seems to me, is like a promotional thing to get his face out there. Boxing fans will accept it because they enjoy Chisora's press conferences. Chisora meant to have turned down $2 million for a fight. Yeah, good. You should as well. The hell are you fighting Itama for? For $2 million? You've been headlining big fights at the O2 Arena, right? You've headlined big fights, and you're going to fight who? Moses Hotel. Who? And what? For what? You've got to show him some serious money. $2 million for what? You have $2 million to fight a guy who may beat you up or make you look bad. Imagine that. $2 million. Well, how much do you think Turkey's going to offer him to fight Parker for? If you could get $5 million to fight Joseph Parker in a third fight, you get beat by Joseph Parker, but Joseph Parker's a world-ranked fighter, former WBO heavyweight champion of the world. Don't forget that. Who just beat Martin Bacoli. So there's a track record there, right? So regardless of how he beat Bacoli. But the Moses Itama, what was Moses Itama's last fight? Mike Balogun. How can you step in the room and start negotiating yourself? Say, right, okay, who am I negotiating with? Oh, Moses Itama. So what's he done? Who was his last fight? Mark Balogun. Okay, who was my last fight? Who did I fight in my last fight? Okay, so I've been in with Joe Joyce. I've been in with, what's this guy's name? I can see the guy's name now. Otto Volin. It's a lot of money for who, bro? It's a whole lot of money for me and you. It's not a lot of money for Derek Chisora. And it's not a lot of money in the Turkey a la Sheikh. Remember, you've got to stop thinking about boxing from the yesteryears. That's gone. $2 million means nothing now. To a heavyweight, that means nothing. To a heavyweight with a very good, he's got very good presence. He can sell a crowd. He is a personality, one of the few personalities we've got in boxing today, heavyweight boxing. He's been a pay-per-view fighter. Is he a pay-per-view star, Derek Chisora? I don't know if he's pay-per-view star, but he certainly can bring in the numbers and he can certainly make the money. So $2 million is underselling Derek Chisora in his 50th fight, in his last fight. Come on, man, that's not a lot of money. You've got to pay out of that sparring partners. You've got to pay your medical fees, your sanctioning, but you've got a lot of things to pay up. Yesteryear is not gone. That Turkey Al Sheikh has an end date. It's not sustainable. I get you television. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable, but when you talk about it's a sustainability, Are we talking 10, 15, 20 years, or 2 years? How long's a piece of string? And what are they invested in as well? There's other investments they're going to go into as well. Um, like I said, but I think the way they make it sustainable, I don't think Turkey has an end date. Saudi has a huge excess of money and they're generating billions. But let me show you this as how they'll continue to generate, right? Instead of the boxing boards and spending money on belts or having to pay for sanction fees and promoters be involved that way, I think they'll send all the money towards Turkey Al Sheikh for a global boxing network. A global boxing network means that Turkey Al Sheikh and these organisations are top of the table, top of the food chain, and all these promoters now become feeders for fighters. So they're like put bids in, and they'll put bids in to say, well, okay, we're gonna these are our fighters from Queensbury, these are our fighters from Matchroom, these are fighters from Oscar De La Hoya, the Golden Boy, these are fighters from Wasserman, these are fighters from boxing, for example, and they'll get put in a pot. Do you understand? And Turkey Al Sheikh, yeah, I'll have that fighter with that fighter, I'll have that fighter with a fighter. And he'll pick the fights that he wants. Yeah? And then out of that, the promoters have to pay Turkey Al Sheikh to put fights on that bill. That's how I say that will work. So when you say it's not sustainable, I'm telling you the sustainability plan. And that would be sustainable. Because if those promoters want to get paid, they will work in partnership with Turkey Al Sheikh. And with the money Turkey Al Sheikh, the promoters are going to start putting their money out of their pockets and paying. So this is where they have to fast track their fights. Do you see a lot of fighters getting fast tracked now? So that they've got stars, so they can go on that pay-per-view super platform, which is the Riyadh season. See? Like in England, we've got the Euros. They're not going to keep losing money. He already had fights not happen. He had fights not happen because the fighters were not marketable. He had fights not happen because the fighters were not good enough. He had fighters pulling out because of injuries, all sorts of stuff. Maybe Turkey will buy all promoters and then will be the parent company. That's a good move. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Bro, you don't understand. You don't get it. You don't understand this game, right? With no WBC, WBA, IBF, IBL, forget all that gets wiped out. They get wiped out completely. There's one belt which is the undisputed belt, and then you have these events where these fighters were fighting to get to fight for the undisputed belt. That's what ended up happening. The format and the mindset you have tunnel vision, which is actually ironic. The mindset you have tunnel vision is not one of vision, and if it's a vision, it's a vision of the past. This is what it'll be. You know, one face, one name, one champion, one brand, and that brand will be the Riyadh season. And that's what it'll be, and everyone else will feed to it. All roads lead to Turkey Al Sheikh. That's what's happening. And anybody who does not fit in line with that will go on trying to make money with these other fights and these other fights in obscurity. Because now, even if you're a champion in that WBC, WBA, IBF, IBO, tunnel vision, this focus fully on reality, not this pipe dream. My friend, everything that you see today, I spoke about it a long time ago. So I don't have to sit down and justify what I'm saying to you now, tunnel vision. I speak from truth, and I speak from fact, and I speak from years of doing this. So when I told Eddie Hearn to his face about Al Heyman being on British TV, he said it's not possible. That's Eddie Hearn. I told him to his face, Al Heyman's coming to the UK and he's going to put fights on the UK. And they were some of the best fights we had on the UK and UK TV and the network. So you don't come and tell me, you don't crop up from somewhere and start telling me what a pipe dream is, right? I can see a pipe dream from beginning to end and talk about it, manifest it, and it happened today. I talked about Mike Tyson coming back and fighting. Listen, the next thing I want to tell you about as well now, I'll tell you now how next thing that happen. You'll have, see all these old fighters that are rumblings of them coming back? I believe, aside the misfits, outside the boxing, I still believe there's going to be a boxing league, a Masters League of Boxing. It is coming. It is coming. I can sense it coming. So all these fighters that maybe have misused their money, and guys they'll have to pass a test, of course, but I think there'll be a league of boxing. I predicted the KO boxing Do you remember? Yeah, the senior division. And remember I told you about KO bonuses. Turkey Al Sheikh just announced the KO bonuses. When I told you about the smaller rings and they don't want it to have guys running around the ring, they want to have fights and smaller rings, it's happened. Turkey Al Sheikh announced it, but I told you about it before he even announced it. So, no, it can happen. There's ways it can happen, my friend. It can definitely happen. When you talk about the risks will happen. Remember, obviously, you're not matching a 40-year-old with a 20-year-old because that's ridiculous. But you're matching people the same age group and the same ages. And if you do bigger head guards, you box either with head guards or you box with bigger gloves, and it's over not 12 rounds, it might be over 4 rounds or 6 rounds. It will happen. There will be exhibition bouts, and you can't say you can't see it happening because it's already happened. We already had Mike Tyson, Roy Jones. Bro, open your eyes. We had Mike Tyson, Roy Jones. We not just too long ago had Razor Ruddock versus James Toney, and though James Toney versus Razor Ruddock was one of the best fights I've seen in recent times. You saw skill, you saw power, you saw movement, you saw it all. You saw Roy Jones versus Mike Tyson. You saw Mike Tyson fought Jake Paul, and then Mike Tyson being held back. And Mike Tyson, what if Mike Tyson was able to do what he wanted to do, he'd have knocked Jake Paul out. But Mike Tyson had a contract signing that said, if you touch me, if you hurt me, you lose the bag. That was in the contract. Will people watch it if the fight was horrible? My friend, ST, I can't believe you're saying that. I mean, there are some horrible fights out there. Devin Haney versus the guy that fought the other day. Absolutely terrible fight. Awful fight. And there were awful fights between the younger fighters. I'd rather sit down and watch the older fighters because at least I'll see some technical skills. I won't see crash bang wallop. I'll see some proper boxing skill. I will see some probably good stuff in the corner. So what are we talking about? Listen to me. Check this out. Misfits. Why are people loving Misfits so much? Because of the drama, because of the excitement. I don't know half the guys that are Misfits, but the guys that are actually boxing, the guys that are boxing are going to Misfits, and they're making money in Misfits. So if Misfits can make money, and if Misfits can do what it's doing, and Misfits is an absolute terrible, it's so terrible it's good, then why can't you have Masters of Boxing? Are you telling me if Joe Kazaki and Froch was going to fight over 6 rounds, exhibition bout for 6 rounds, you wouldn't watch that? You wouldn't watch that. I damn well watch that. I'd watch it. If Lennox Lewis, I wouldn't watch Reddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis because Bowe's in a bad condition. I wouldn't watch that. But give me, let me think, a retired fighter, Lennox Lewis versus... Look, there's a fight that's been announced now. Danny Williams, who should not be boxing anymore. He's going to fight the president, Ike Ikubuchi. Yeah, that is a terrible fight. But would I tune in and watch it? Hell yeah, I'm tuning in to watch it. I get just a little worried about the health aspect, but as long as they make it safe, yeah. So, clearly, look, I don't want to be seeing any of these master fighters, older senior fighters, fighting for 12 rounds. No, I don't want to see that. Give me 6 rounds. Give me 8 rounds. Give me, 6, 8 rounds. I mean, if you were to give me that, yeah. And if you give me that, and you switched it out for half these fights with guys who are going to win the fight from like as soon as the fight's put down on paper, these fights where it's 99% chance the guy's going to win. Take a lot of them fights out and put in these older senior fights. I'd watch them. I'd watch them fight. But I wouldn't watch them fight like I'd watch them fight like a Sunday evening, a Friday night, a Wednesday evening, like a midweek sports special, something like that. I'd pay to watch a matchmaking session with Eddie Hearn, another no-name Mexican or Holmes. Exactly. I think you'd be the main coverage of those fights from media aspects because you'd appreciate the art of legendary boxing. Of course, you tell me you wouldn't know. I mean, my God. Oh, God. Who could I say that's retired from boxing? Look, we've got Manny Pacquiao fighting again, yeah? Manny Pacquiao's coming back and fight again. My God, Manny Pacquiao looks old. He looks old. I don't want to see Manny Pacquiao fight Barrios. Duke McKenzie, yeah, I'd watch Duke McKenzie fight. Like, you could probably get some like exhibition bouts. What would have happened if, like, Ricky Hatton versus Junior Witter? What would have happened if that fight had happened? Like, you know, there's certain fights I wouldn't mind seeing. Wouldn't mind seeing Lennox Lewis versus Vitaly Klitschko. Lennox Lewis versus Vitaly Klitschko. Let's make that fight happen. Lennox Lewis versus Vladimir Klitschko. Let's make that fight happen. Holyfield versus Tyson 3. Let's make that fight happen. So yeah, there's some fights that we'd watch and see. I'd want my see. I wouldn't mind watching Ray Mercer fight again. Ray Mercer, Oliver McCall. Uh, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing them guys fight again. I wish Tommy Morrison was still alive. God bless his soul. Tommy Morrison fighting, Razor Ruddock fighting, them dudes. What would have happened if Razor Ruddock had fought Ray Mercer? What would have happened if Holyfield had fought? And there was talk about Frank Bruno coming back and boxing. There needs to be a line in who is in this Legends boxing. Bring on the seniors. Listen, I tell you tomorrow, right? If you gave me Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois at Wembley Stadium, and you gave me Carl Froch versus Joe Calzaghe at Wembley at the O2 Arena, I know where I'm going, and it's not to see Usyk versus Dubois. I would want to see the press conference of Froch versus Froch versus Calzaghe, or let's do it again. Froch versus Ward. Let's have that. Let's run that one. Let's run that one back. Whatever happened to Izu reminded me of Herbie Hyde. Oh, I tell you what happened. He retired. He retired, and I advised him to retire after the bad knockout defeat. That senior generation know how to box fight. Exactly. Saw a recent Bashir interview on Seconds Out, potentially saying Vlad is still looking to come back for the title. Yes, Vladimir Klitschko will come back. He will come back. He's just looking for his opportunity to pick up a heavyweight championship of the world. Whatever happened to... Yeah, I'll talk about that. Hearns versus Leonard, or are they too old? Yeah, they're a bit too old, but you should see the clip where... There's a clip you go on YouTube where Mike Tyson's sitting down, basically stirring the pot, and Leonard is sitting down, and Hearns is sitting down, and Leonard turns to Hearns and says, I'll knock you out right now. Tommy, I'll knock you out right now. And then Hearns stands up, and Leonard stands up, and Leonard faces up to Hearns. I'm thinking, woo. And Mike's saying, no, get him. Tommy, get him, get him. And I'm like, yeah. Even if they're as old as they are, it was just good to see those two, man. Good to see those two. Look, I mean... I think there may have to be some sort of rule about the Masters League. Maybe they could say 40 to 45. Remember, let me just remind you, Big George Foreman, when he made his comeback and became heavyweight champion of the world. And there's some dudes around today, if Big George Foreman had made that comeback now, he'd probably clean out the heavyweight division. Vlad looking to get body back. Lord, Vlad's got good boxing ability. If he can keep the guy at the end of a jab, and he's very fit and he keeps himself in shape. If Vlad, the guy I'd like to see, Vitaly Klitschko. Could you imagine Vitaly Klitschko now? Vitaly Klitschko in the heavyweight division in 2025. He's tall, he's long, he can punch, he's got experience. How many guys will you back to beat Vitaly Klitschko now, even? I mean, I'd rather see Vitaly come back than Vlad. Out of the two brothers, I'd have Vitaly come back. Dubois would send Vlad into orbit right now. I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that. Vlad's got a left jab. If Dubois going down to the left jab of Usyk and he's getting dropped by Reina, Vlad's jab alone will send Dubois into another stratosphere. Vlad clean up their heavyweight division. Heavyweight division's poor right now. I'm saying it, and you're seeing that. I disagree, John. Yeah, Five got beaten by some Mexican yesterday. Hearn's still not learning, sticking his Brit hype jobs in with Mexicans. LOL, I'm going to watch that. Vlad gets starched by Dubois. Nah, I don't get starched by Dubois. Dubois ain't starched. If Dubois couldn't even starch Kevin Arena. Come on, man. You ain't starching no one, man. Who does Dubois starch? I mean, we are getting a bit too much hyped about Dubois. Who has Dubois starched? He's a big puncher. Who's he starched? He didn't destroy Herkovic. I mean, he beat him up and Herkovic got stopped. Yeah, he didn't smash up Miller. I mean, he ground Miller down. Yeah, he beat up the Joshua, but then Usyk did it, and Ruiz did the job, and Joshua well before that. So what are we talking about? A flawed Joshua? I don't know, man. I don't know about all that. Dubois really, never really had to deal with a stiff jab, but perhaps you're right. Yeah, I became a Vlad fight the night he dealt with AJ at 42 years old. Yeah, that Vlad who was 2 years retired. That Vlad should have won that fight. Just poor corner advice. Yeah, I remember going to the hotel room straight after that. Vlad, all right, he got stopped, but I admire Vlad. Yeah, I admire Vlad, but Vitali's the one. Vitali's the one. Um, Heavyweight boxing. Let's keep going. Who else is that? Lawrence Okoli. We talked about. Who else did we talk about? Ajak Kabayal is my pick for heavyweight champion of the world. That's a bad man right there. I told you before, when I was talking about Ajak Kabayal and the Tyson Fury fight back then, I said, Tyson, you don't want to be fighting Ajak Kabayal. He's going to cause you a whole heap of problems. And you see everyone's quiet about Ajak Kabayal. I think Ajak Kabayal's fighting Frank Sanchez again, I think. I think he's fighting Frank Sanchez. Or is it Ajagba fighting Frank Sanchez? Yeah, I'd like, that's a fight I would see. Moses Tama against Efe Ajagba. That's a good fight. Ajagba takes a good punch. He's a bit stepping up, right? Yes. Got a good jab, got a nice right hand, takes a good shot. Good fight. Are you not worried about his height? Michael Hunt is fighting Manuel Shah for the WBA regular heavyweight championship of the world. Yes. Don King won the rights for that. So we could be seeing Michael Hunt, WBA regular heavyweight champion, coming soon. Yeah. Are you not worried about Caballero? Is it Caballel's height? If you talk about Caballero, then no. No, 6'2", 6'3" is a good height. Remember the interview I did with Bashir years ago? He talked about heavyweights, 6'3", tend to have good chins, good power, compact. Yes, his height's a good height for a heavyweight. Hilarious that WBA regular is still around. They probably just get rid of it in 2016. But that belt there is the legitimate WBA belt. That super belt that Joshua and Klitschko fought was made up for money. Muhammad Ali had that WBA belt. That's a prestigious belt. Is Fraser Quendo still around? Yeah, what happened to Fraser Quendo anyway? Yeah, bring him back. Yeah, Fraser Quendo, bring him back as well. Because I do feel sorry for some of these fighters that were badly managed. Right? You could see Ben Eubank 3, the real Ben and Eubank fight. Ben Eubank. Who else could fight? And if you're going to do the boxing league, how would you do it inside of ages? Like, could you put? You'd have to put Roy Jones, Michael Nunn, Nigel Benn, Chris Eubank Senior. Those guys. Roy Jones, that era, Roy Jones, all that era. I think there should be. I think the category should go based on what they were ranked and where they were at that time in that era. So when Eubank and Ben were fighting, so Eubank, Ben, Collins, Tony, Michael Nunn, mentioned Roy Jones Jr. Who else? Yeah, that would be a nice. That would make a nice boxing legends like tournament, League of Legends, something like that. Mike Perez fought the other day, and I did. The biggest injustice is when Dillian White was mandatory challenger for over 2 years. But that's what they're going to try and do with Josie Parker. You notice that Dillian White was an independent, right? So that's what they did with Dillian White. He's an independent. So I think that Josie Parker, Ramirez fighting Doctors, potential upset. I rate Doctors back in the day. Yeah, he's a bad man. He was Doctor. Yeah, he was a bad man back in the day. I haven't seen him fight in ages, so I can't talk about him now. But yeah, that's how I would do it. The heavyweights. So in that era, so Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson. Who else was around at that time? Frank Bruno. I guess they would, all that era. The guys from that era would fight as well in this league. And there have to be a cut-off point. So I guess those guys who can't fight would have to be trainers. Trainers, I guess. Maybe they could be trainers, promoters, get a role within that so they don't fight, at least can make some money themselves. Cruiserweight so weak you got ancient Buddy Jackson holding the title. Opatai should aim to become undisputed in cruiserweight. Opatai is a good fighter, you know, but he doesn't beat Usyk. I'm sorry. Opatai is too open. Opatai is too open. Too open. And I think Opatai seems to fight the same type of guys at the moment. Same type of guys. I want to see how he does against like Ramirez. Let me see how he does against Ramirez. Opatai struggled with an ancient British twice. Yeah, Opatai is a lot of hype, man. He's a good fighter, yeah. And I like his attitude to boxing. Love his attitude to boxing. But I think he's hype. I do think he's hype. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's not legit. I still think he's hype. Yeah, I think Usyk would kill him. I think Usyk would absolutely kill him. I do. Ramirez and Belichick are both blown up super middleweights. Well, they are. But I think Opatai, he's a good fighter, but I think he's very, very, very hyped up. Anyone that comes out the zone, Eddie Hearn, like sort of like conveyor belt are overhyped. Did you see Opatai fight the midget last night? Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. That's the type of guys he's fighting. And he's like, oh, he's the greatest cruiserweight and blah 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 blah. Who's the greatest heavyweight of all time? I guess it's a cliche. I guess maybe the Connie won the best of generation. Wonder how it does. Does Usyk trump Ali or Leonard in terms of boxing? Well, you know that Usyk and Ali were born on the same day. Yeah, the same birthday. Usyk and Ali, exactly the same height. Yeah. There's a lot of comparison between Ali. So kind of people might not want to admit it, but Usyk is our modern day Ali. Think about it. Same height as Ali. You know, he's not noticed as a big puncher, one punch knockout artist. Fought guys bigger than himself. But the thing about Ali and Usyk is their boxing brains. So yeah, there's something there that people are not seeing. But he's the modern day Ali. The modern day Ali. So yeah. And if he wasn't Ukrainian and he was American, my God. If he wasn't Ukrainian, he's fighting awful opposite, but yeah, I rate him, but he's too hyped up. Wow. The issue is because the cruiserweight division is so poor, it's hard for Opatai to fight good opposition without moving up to heavyweight. I remember Tony Bellew did well for a while against Usyk. Yeah, he did well for a while. But yeah, Frank Bruno did well for a while against Mike Tyson. He did for a while against Lennox Lewis. Harold Graham was doing well against Julian Jackson for a while. God, Michael Brony was doing well for a while. I mean, anyone could do well for a while, but that's why they call it for a while. in boxing for a while is not a good thing because it doesn't ultimately end up the way we want it. I did well for a while when I dated 10 out of 10, 1 out of 10. Yeah, we can all do well for a while, mate. We can all do well for a while. Listen, there's a video. I was Essex coach. Well, I was managing the Essex side, Essex Met side, on on Friday, and for a while we were doing well until we got beat. So a while always has expiration date, especially in boxing. Hooney was doing well for a while. In fact, my prediction was looking spot on until he walked onto the right hand. Yeah, so I'd say for a while and in a minute, mate. That's what one of them ones. I don't know. Thoughts on you, Harlem, Eubank, and Cattrall? I mean, I love to see Eubank, Harlem, Eubank do it. I really would. But there's another side of it. I'd love to see Cattrall chin him because he just becomes. He looks very smug. He's got this smug look in his face, and you just like to see him lose. But I can't feel that way towards him because obviously I knew his dad very well. I knew Harlem's dad really well. And I like Harlem. He's a cool dude, but he's just got one of those faces, man. He's got one of those faces when he's talking for yourself. Ah, God, I wish you'd lose just to see your expression in your face. But no, honestly speaking, I hope wish him well against Jack Cattrall. I think Eubank can beat Cattrall now due to age. He says, I retract my statement. Boots moving up. Otherwise, a boring decision. Boring decision for Jack. See, when you talk about promotion, if Eddie Hearn could promote Jack Cattrall, that's real promotion for you. Boots moving up to 154. I don't care for Boots in this. I don't. He's one of the most. Oh, listen, and I like Boots. He's been on BWTM Sports. He's one of the most overrated boxers in the world. Overrated, super overrated, right? Because of Floyd Mayweather, yeah. Everyone wants to be Floyd and unbeaten and stuff, but the thing is, he's getting hit more and more, and he's not improving, and he thinks what he's doing is good. I want to see him get hit by Virgil Ortiz. Let me see him get hit by Virgil Ortiz, and then we'll have the conversation again. Haaland seems to copy Senior a bit too much. Okay, Boots could get chinned at 155. Set ready. I thought you and Boots were cool. We are cool. We are cool. Listen, which leads me into a very nice point. Listen, I want to explain something to you. Yeah, let me explain something to you about boxing. Boxing interviews, boxing personalities, and the psychology of a boxing interviewer and the mindset. Let me tell you something. When I first started boxing, doing boxing interviews, way back, I got this damn itch. Something stung me. Mosquito, bloody hell. Hey, back in the day, yeah, when I first started out, I wanted to interview everybody. I wanted to get interviewed, and I literally did interview 95% of the people I wanted to interview. I got messed around by a few fighters. I got let down by a few fighters. Fighters said they're gonna call, they didn't call back, and like some of the people just had no integrity whatsoever. But you know what? The lack of integrity they had with me, not because of me, they had a lack of integrity to training. They had a lack of integrity to anything. So their careers didn't go as well as I thought they would go, because of a lack of integrity. You know, accountability, responsibility. You know, organization. These things. So, and then you have fighters that have always had good relationships with, but sometimes the fighter doing interviews with you, like I was doing interviews with Keith Thurman all the time, but then he got to a point where he became unified champion of the world, and then therefore there were other people that came in the middle and started handling him and managing him. So therefore it's not as easy to get to Keith. I remember the times that people who were on my channel, begging for me to interview them, begging for me to be on the channel, right? Then when I see them and they get the job working for Top Rank, then to look at me and make me have to queue up and then tell me you've only got 5 minutes to do an interview. You, who nobody knew, who you got your big break by by doing shows on my channel. So you got, so do I get upset about that? No. Do I get mad about it? No. What for? These are these people's characters and integrity. They've got to live with that. They've got to live with that, and they will find their way somewhere along the line. They'll find their way. Not my business. Look, a lot of these boxers. People think these boxers should be like, I don't know, politically correct and do all things the right way. Listen, a lot of these guys have come out of poverty, and so when they see money, it spins and turns their head, and things they wouldn't normally do, they do. No, I'm not talking about Michelle there. Michelle Joy Phelps is cool. She's cool people. I met Michelle Joy Phelps before she got into boxing. I was talking to Michelle Joy Phelps while she was still doing swimwear and stuff like that. That's where I met Michelle Joy Phelps, and we were talking on Twitter. That's when Twitter was banging. It was all good. I was talking to Michelle there, and she said, I'm thinking of trying my hand in boxing. I said, Michelle, go do it. Best thing you could do. And then before you know it, Michelle Joy Phelps is blowing up. Everyone's talking about Michelle Joy Phelps. And I messaged Michelle, and she's like, strange vibes. And then I said, you know what? When I catch up with her, I'm going to talk to her. So when I one day I was sitting down, we were sitting down next to her. I said, Michelle. She went, yes. I said, you don't know me, do you? She went, should I know you? I said, yeah, I'm Ingram. Ingram? Name sounds familiar. I said, I knew you when you were doing your swimwear. I was the guy who said, oh, Ingram. She came, gave me a big hug. How are you? How's life? And that's how I got the interview with Michelle Joy Phelps. And she sat down for 25 minutes and spoke to me about boxing and opened up about life and their insecurities and stuff. Yeah. So, it's just, I see there things are happening. I'm in boxing world. I see a lot of crazy things happening in the boxing world. And you see things and you think, I remember how that happened. And, oh, I see. So now you're getting their comeuppance. Oh, so the stuff you did to me, you wouldn't have did somebody else. And now they've caught you up with it. Oh, karma. So you're doing this there. And I avoided that, and I broke off contact with you because I didn't like what you were doing. Oh, and now you're getting yourself, oh, right, I see. So I see a lot of it in boxing. I see even people going down now. I'm like, the network, I get it, I see, oh, right. I'm just so glad that I just distance myself with certain people that I think, if that's the way your character is now and that's the way you behave, I don't want really nothing to do with you. I mean, you just, good luck with you. No hard feelings, but you're not my cup of tea. I don't need to advertise that on YouTube. I don't need to, for views or because because ultimately what I'm doing is to be the best host possible for the boxer or boxers, right? Or the sports people. Yeah, if you can do that and have that quality and professionalism about you, it doesn't matter how long ago you're out of boxing. You can come back. Like I could come back now and do loads of interviews if I really wanted to. I could, but it's just, But when you're doing things like that, and then you're showing your face on camera, and you're talking down about this person and that person, and you're airing dirty laundry out. What ends up happening there is that people go, right, you know what you're about. Won't be getting anywhere near you. So yeah, guys, you don't need to be politically correct, but they should still give you respect. Well, you know what? Some of these people, it's the first taste of power for them. They get the opportunity, they get a little bit of money in their hand, and they're always. Money doesn't change people. It's who they really are. They just get more opportunity to show how much of an idiot they are, right? You're an idiot, right? But you're an idiot with no money, yeah? You're selfish, but you ain't got money. You are deceitful, but you ain't got money. So when you get money, all these things manifest much higher, much faster. So for me, you're always an idiot. It's just that now you've got um, more people watching how much of an idiot you are. These people have got these channels and they're doing things and like, well, yeah, you're an idiot, but you're just showing how much more of an idiot or how lack of class you have or how you can't be trusted and how, damn, I'm so glad I don't talk with you and how I didn't do business with you. And a lot of things that can happen, not just in boxing, but yeah. Uh, yeah, sorry, not Misha. That was the other one who you gave access to and then she ditched you. Ah, yeah, don't worry about her. Don't worry, not even, I'm not even giving her the time of day. Not because I'm upset with her, but I just don't feel to spend energy on something like that. Liam Cameron, disappointing when you ghosted. Oh, yes, all right. But look where that worked out. How did that work out for Liam? How did that work out? How has it worked out? How did it work out? How far did he get after that? Yeah, I remember a guy signed for Matchroom. Yeah, it was a big things talked about him. Matchroom, big thing, right? And we did an interview. And it was good. He was talking all the good stuff, and he'll stay in contact and blah 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 blah. And then afterwards, he won a couple of fights. He started acting like Mr. Jolly Big Bisser, and I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I ain't got time to do interviews. It's okay, cool, no problems. I think he got chinned in about his fourth or fifth fight. You don't even talk about him no more. So I don't have time for it. I don't. I enjoy it. I love boxing. But I think when it comes to boxing now and interviews, there are some people I'm really close to. Um, that are really close to that no matter how many years I've not been doing interviews, that if I picked up the phone and said, hey, you know what? Can I do an interview? Hey, could I catch up with you? Then, they would. And that's it. Integrity. And it was always about me doing interviews to keep people in the right light. There are some people that I was being professional doing my thing and they misunderstood the way I was and still hold grudges to me till this day. They just got issues. They got issues. And those who got issues, they've got issues. And today they're even manifesting them issues today. But they've got, like I said, a bigger audience watching them manifest their stuff. I'm like, it's not just me you've got issues with. So I'm like, okay, good luck. No, good luck with that. That eventually that will catch up with you, and you'll end up getting probably fired. But let it manifest itself out in time. Other one was Melissa. I remember when her interview with Isaac Dugbe. Yeah, that's the one. Of course, yes. Well, Melissa went on, went to top rank. Good luck to her. Did her stuff. Happy, delighted for her. I hope she's happy where she is today. And if I contributed 1% of her life for her to get to where to open doors for her to get to where she got to today, good luck and all the best to her. Um, just some people don't kind of like appreciate certain things at the time, and then it takes time for you to digest immaturity. I don't know what you want to call it, but entitlement, whatever you want to call whatever it is. It's my hard work. I got there. I did the work. I did the whatever it may be. It is what it is, and good luck to them. That's all I say. Good luck to them. Wish them well. I get on my career and get on do what I do. Oh yes, that's the one, John. Name's in my mind. But yeah, it is what it is. Am I upset by it? Nope. Nope. Although I spent hours and hours talking about everything under the sun, talking. I guess it helped some way to get her where she is today. If it helped, then fine, fair enough. There are quite a few people like that in boxing, and to me, whatever. It's what it is. It is. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the live show. There's a few interviews. Here's something. Here's Vlad. Yeah, I haven't spoken to Vlad for a few weeks now, and he gave me his number. He sent me a message. Thick skin. Is it thick skin or just? Um, I'm I'm comfortable in myself. I'm comfortable in who I am. I'm comfortable where I'm going. I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, and I don't need these people to tell me who I am or what I'm doing or where I need to be or no. I did something that was mutually beneficial at the time. They were on my channel and it is what it is. But I did everything I wanted to do. In terms of BWTM, I did everything I wanted to do. I got the big interviews. I got the insights. I did some stuff that people still have not done Get 3 boxing trainers in a room together, get them talking. I mean, imagine James Elliott Bashir, Stacey McKinley, and Tunde Ajaya, all 3 boxing trainers in one room together doing an interview. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine like doing YouTube shows with all the big names on YouTube gathered together in one room talking boxing? Can you imagine? I did it. Do I ever regret? No, I don't regret it because I stopped. Yeah, I haven't stopped the interviews, but the interviews were stopped because of time and progression in my own life. Like, there's some things like now. I mean, I've got, look, I'll show you something now. Oh, I can't show you actually, but yeah, I've got my laptop set up right here. So my laptop is right set up here and my camera's going to get put up. So you know what that means? It means that interviews are going to start coming again. There have been many British hype jobs. The real ones still interview Bashir, etc. Peter Fury, top man. Of course he's a top man. They're top people. So I will do catch-up interviews. And now that I've got my laptop back up, and I've got my table now, and I've set up again, I can start doing some more interviews. So stay tuned. You never know whenever the odd interview may pop up. But you know when I do it, I go big, right? So yeah, just stay tuned. And when they come up, I think you'll appreciate them. But there's some interviews now. Got a whole load of the Vlad Tsarenko interviews that I've dropped. All the interviews I've did. And I've re-tagged them, so they're up there again. So you can take a look at those Vlad interviews as well. Particularly now he's got this big fight coming up. This guy, Vlad's fighting, by the way, he reminds me of Vitaly Klitschko. I said it before. He fights like Vitaly Klitschko. The difference between him and Klitschko is that Klitschko was a bit more refined. Klitschko's chin was in the air, but he did it behind a very good jab. This guy pitter-patters when he throws his shots, and he stays in range, and he could get caught with overhand right or left hook by Vlad. Good fight, good fight. The guy can turn south on us. I'd like to do an interview about how I learned about more than limited about football than watching it in England play FC 25. Hey, you know, I should show you. Let me show you something. Come on, let me show you something. This is really beautiful. I think it's beautiful anyway. Charlton Athletic Football Club. That is my. I've become an overnight fan of Charlton Athletic Football Club. Let me show you this. Let me go here. Let me do this. Let me do this. Boom. You just look over there. You can see just over there, Charlton Athletic Football Club. And if I just turn this way there, you can just see the Steelers Stadium. The stadium's overlooking. See the stadium over there? Isn't that beautiful view? I actually can't wait till the summer. When the summer comes, I'm not the summer. When the football season starts, it's going to be packed out here. So there you go. There's something for you. Yeah. You still remember that prediction? Long time ago, huh? Right. Bro, I didn't realise that you were that close. Yeah, literally next door. There you go. Yeah, so it's all good. That close, yeah. It's a nice view, bro. It's a nice view. It's going to be a nicer view in the summer, though. Not the summer, but the boxing. It's the football season, summer. Yeah. So I am literally now a Charlton Athletic fan. So with that being said, I have to get back with my Charlton Athletic football team. I've got some puzzles to work out. The YB, he's a legend, isn't he, the YB? He's an absolute legend. He's funny. Yeah, I do appreciate the YB, actually. I do appreciate him. The YB, Ultra Tech, yeah, they're guys they're the new legends in boxing. I like them. I like those dudes. Let's see if I can set one up. I need to get Ultra Tech back as well. Yeah, I need to get Ultra Tech back soon. All right, let me get out of here. I'm going to go and do I've got some work to do with Charlton Athletic. I've got to somehow get this team staying in the... got to keep them staying in the Premiership. Another wicket for Indian. It's real boxing history on this channel. I know, brother. I know. And I want to do... And the other thing, trail by 11. Okay. 9 wickets down. Cool. I need to do like some fighters that I really like and do studies on them. There's a couple of guys I like, Abdullah Mason being one of them. There's some guys that I fought the other night on Eddie's card last Saturday. Oh my God. There's some guys on that card. I think Eddie's got some damn good fighters there. Yeah. Anyway, let me go. I'll talk to you all coming up back on BWTM Sports. Check out all the short videos and also check out Charlton Athletic FC 25. I remember certain TV broadcasters, yep, they were taking my interview quotes. Gotta, gotta make a comeback, I think. Gotta make a comeback. Take care, guys. Thanks for the love.